Joining me now is Congresswoman Karen Bass, Democrat from California, and former Pennsylvania Governor Ed Rendell. Thank you both for being here.
Thanks for having me on.
Our pleasure.
Congresswoman, comparing the right-wing fight against Obamacare to Nelson Mandela's struggle against apartheid, I mean, what's your reaction?
Well, I just think it's absolutely shameful. I do think you're right in calling it a freakout because they seem to be all over the map. And actually, if I was going to make a comparison, I would make the opposite comparison because I think the struggle for justice, which Nelson Mandela led for so many years, is similar and equal to the struggle for health care as a right for people in the richest country in the world. And so the idea that they would make that comparison in the opposite way is just tragic. And I really think when the history books are written in this time period, I think Republicans of the future are going to be quite embarrassed and shamed by the way the anti-healthcare campaign is shaping up.
Now, Governor, you were a Democratic elected governor. You were a Democratic official. How would you assess this week? Sign-ups have increased substantially. There seems to be a lot of interest, a lot of people going to the sites. How would you assess this week now that we're at the end of the week?
I mean, it's been a great week for the ACA. There's no question about it. The kinks appear to be out. We're not quite sure about the back end, but I think it looks pretty good. The kinks seem to be out of the system. More and more people are being driven to it. More and more people are signing up. And the sad part for the Republicans is it's only going to get worse for them. It's only going to get better. As time goes on, as the kinks are totally smoothed out of the system, people are going to find that this bill, the 31 million who never had health care, are going to find that it's like manna from heaven. And to other people, they're going to find they've got better plans, and they've got the freedom to choose, and they can compare, and they can shop, which we never had the ability to do in America. So I think it's going to be very successful, more successful each month that passes, so the Republicans better find another horse to ride, because they can't ride this one.
You know, and as the success seems to be more and more obvious that it's begin to turn that corner toward success, Congresswoman, you hear the arguments against the Affordable Care Act and the opposition to the president getting more and more shrill. We heard a lot of ugly talk about health care from the right. Georgia's Republican Insurance Commissioner, for example, recently compared people with pre-existing conditions to reckless drivers. Take a listen to this.
Say you're going along and you have a wreck, and it's your fault. Well, a pre-existing condition would be then you calling up your insurance agent and saying, I'd like to get collision insurance coverage on my car. And your insurance agent said, well, you've never had that before. Why would you want it now? And you say, well, I just had a wreck. It was my fault. And I want the insurance company to pay for to repair my car. And that's the exact same thing on pre-existing insurance.
Now, since the video came out, the commissioner admitted it was a bad analogy. But saying a cancer survivor, Congresswoman, getting insured is the same as someone who wrecked their car and then tried to scam an insurance company? I mean, is this what they think?
Well, you know what? Actually, as a former healthcare professional, I think he needs to go see his doctor. Because, frankly, after you hit a certain age, everybody has a pre-existing condition. It's called hypertension. It's called part of the aging process. And so, really, it reflects either profound ignorance. It was a very silly analogy, but you know what's going on in California, Rev. California's doing very, very well. So the Republicans here have resorted to creating a fake website that looks like the state website to trick people into getting on a website and hearing negative things, misinformation. The fact that they would go to such lengths to prevent people from getting health care is really quite tragic.
But you know, Governor, at least one Republican is admitting the health care law is helping some people. Virginia Congressman Scott Rendell says, quote, it's not in dispute that many Americans' lives are being disrupted in an important way by this law. It is also true that some American lives have gotten better. Yes, and to not acknowledge that is to deny reality. You think we're going to hear more and more of this kind of admission, Governor?
I think as time goes on, especially Republicans who are in anywhere close to a purple area or represent a blue area, they're going to have to come out and tell the truth. And again, what's shameful about it, the congressman said, and she's right, what's shameful about it is that there are Republicans rooting for people to not get help, rooting for this law to fail. And it is true, the point that was made by the congresswoman earlier, we were the only developed nation in this world that didn't have health care as a right for its citizens. The richest country in the world didn't have health care as a right for its citizens. And the Republicans are attacking this law, which gives citizens that right, and they have no alternative. It really is a shameful exercise. They want this law to fail, and they want people to be hurt or not to get help. And it's not all Republicans.
That is what
you'll see.
That is what's critical, Congresswoman, what the governor just said. They want the law to fail, but they don't have a plan of their own. I mean, the Washington Post reports, quote, 7 months after first unveiling the kids' first bill to fight cancer, Air Canada has scheduled a floor vote on the measure. If it is that hard to unify the GOP around fighting cancer in children, many Republican advisors fear that crafting a full alternative to the health care bill will be impossible and merely lead to more divisions. They can't unite around a plan.
Well, you know, when I've been in Congress now, I'm in my 3rd year, and the mantra when I came in was repeal and replace. My 3rd year, I've yet to hear anything about a replacement. And it's because their core is they don't believe that there should be health care coverage for everybody, which for a party that wants to be fiscal conservative is really ignorant, because it's not that people don't get care. It's that people go to the emergency room, which is the most expensive type of health care there is. I used to work in the emergency room, and I watched people die because they had to wait until the last minute because they didn't have coverage. And at the end of the day, it costs society way more money. And so it's really a contradiction with their own ideology.
Congresswoman Karen Bass and former Governor Ed Rendell, thank you both for your time tonight.
Thanks for having us.
Our pleasure.
Coming up, remember when they said Obamacare would destroy